Welcome to the Night Owl, the meeting place, those things that keep you up at night. Content may contain graphic language and disturbing scenarios that I can assure you are not for the faint of heart, so listeners' discretion is advised. I'm your host, Isaiah, and if you're still with me, well, maybe you should lock your doors, check those windows, turn out the lights, and get as comfortable as you can. You won't be sleeping tonight. You've been warned. Welcome to the Night Owl. If this is your first time visiting, then welcome. If you're a frequent visitor, it's always good to have you back. An introduction into your significant other's family may not always be the easiest. Sometimes there's history that was never put to rest. Lock your doors, check your windows, and get comfortable. You won't be sleeping tonight. I give you family plan. I make fun of my girl and her family for still having house phones. I wasn't even sure they still existed until each room in their house reminded me. You had a cat phone, clown phone, house phone, and a snail phone. She invited me to her family's for a weekend. I guess it'd been a while since she'd seen all or any of them from the nervousness she seemed to have. She made sure to give me the rundown before meeting them. She told me her family wasn't the closest, and some of them weren't the nicest at one point. Her uncle, for one. He'd do this thing where he'd make sure to leave the phone off the hook in the house when he left, so he could hear everything that was being said. It didn't matter what, he just wanted to hear it. Sometimes he'd do this mean thing where he'd leave the phone in one of our rooms and make these low growling noises or talk in this really deep voice. Many sleepless nights behind his bullshit as a child, she said. She hated when her mom left because it'd just be her brothers, and her uncle. He didn't really yell, he'd just walk around our rooms and stare. It was stone-faced. One time he held my brother over the stairs and threatened to drop him if he didn't clean up his mess. Her uncle lived in a basement and died there too. It was a heart attack apparently, or his karma, as she described it. She said as she grew up, they avoided downstairs because it felt heavy down there. Like someone was not only watching them, but as you walked up the stairs, it literally felt as if someone was on your heels. I was blown away by all of this. Because she's truly one of the nicest people I've come to know in life. Not just because she's my girlfriend, but just knowing her, it's hard to believe she's been holding on to this for all these years. When I met her family, they were honestly some of the sweetest people. Her mom and brothers both. They were very welcoming and they made it feel like home. I can't lie. We all sat down for a dinner that her mom and bros prepared. And it was a pretty great time. Very simple, very relaxed, very mellow. But the phones wouldn't stop ringing. It was almost like one would trigger the other throughout the house. That happens from time to time, her mom said. You think it may just be a faulty battery? We've had these phones for God knows how long, so it's possible. Her mom and bros are honestly some insane cooks and took no for an answer as far as seconds and thirds. I didn't have to twist my arm either. My girl told me her mom doesn't see much of them, so she really makes it a point to go all out. And honestly, I loved it. So the night passed on, and we sat around the living room, letting that crazy feast digest. I was fighting a food coma. But at one point, the phone in the kitchen just kept beeping. Like it was paging the phone being off the receiver. That's funny, her mom said. The phone is on here. She picked it up and hung it up again, but still. So we all decided to split up and search the house to see where it was coming from. My girl and her bros checked upstairs. I stayed downstairs with her mom. That's when we realized the beep was coming from the phone downstairs in the basement. I'll go down, I said, not really thinking much of it. There's no light switch until you get down the stairs, so be careful, her her mom cautioned. I slowly crept down the stairs listening for the beep. It was dark, and dark to the point I couldn't see in front of me. They say when one of your senses are blocked, the other ones are heightened, and since we were trying to find the beep, my ears did me better anyways. I walked around the basement, slowly, hands stretched out to not hit anything. She was right. The basement felt really heavy. Like I wasn't alone. I kept listening for the beep, and it came in intervals, but frequent enough that I could pick it up. Kind of a rhythm. The closer I got, the fewer the beeps, until I was right up on it. And then that's when the beep stopped. I was standing over the phone, but it sounded like someone was breathing on the phone. Like a low, muted breath. I still couldn't see shit, and I won't lie, I was shook to my core. I hauled ass back up those stairs, but you know how when it's dark, your eyes try to see whatever it can? I'm sure my eyes were playing tricks, but it definitely seemed like someone was down there watching me, in the corner. As I was running up the stairs, I remember what my girlfriend said, and she was right. It felt like someone was on my heels. I brought her mom the phone, told her I couldn't find the receiver, but luckily she didn't mind and just took the battery out the phone. It was late, and my girl and I, we just slept in the living room. Her brothers, they didn't live too far away, so they went home. Her mom went upstairs once she knew we were all good. The lights were out. The house was still. A pin could drop and it would wake up the neighborhood. It was that quiet. I wasn't sure at first, but it sounded like someone was walking up the stairs from the basement. But they were walking in a way that they didn't want to be caught. They were sneaking up the stairs, if you will. I sat up, and the steps stopped. I thought I was losing my mind. I know I was. The living room was connected to the kitchen where the basement door was. It was dark in the house, but you could still make out enough. I listened for the footsteps, and I listened to them finally make it to the top platform, which seemed like an eternity. There was quiet for a moment, as if they were listening for me as much as I was listening for them. I froze. The basement door slowly began to open. The phone started to beep again. I was paralyzed. My heartbeat could be heard a mile away. I looked at my girl, and she was wide awake, and just as frozen. I only turned away for a second, and when I looked back, there was someone standing by the phone, shrouded in black, and looking at us. So there you have it. Tune in next week for another story to keep you up at night. If you have a story of your own that you'd like to submit and have featured on this podcast, email at thebirdbrainpodcast@gmail.com with the subject headline, Night Owl. You can follow us on Instagram, Discord, and Twitter to stay up to date with what's happening next. Listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Red Circle. Sleep tight.